What's up, guys? It's Mikey with MMB BBQ, and happy Thursday. Obviously, we put a podcast out every Thursday, and then we sprinkle in some cool special shit in between it. But I am your host and your pitmaster. Today, we got to chat with Chandler from LYLES Barbecue Company. We had a super fun chat. We talked about barbecue, social media, and all that alike. So I'm not going to take up too much of your ear because we had a very, very long chat, and I want to save your time for him. But let's get this out of the way and let's have some fun. This barbecue podcast is actually brought to you by BBQ Seasonings and Rubs. BBQ.com. Go check them out. It's a super awesome seasoning line. It is out of Florida. It's out of Tampa Bay, Florida, and they are giving you an island time kick for some awesome seasonings. So if you're looking for a little bit of BBQ in your life, go check them out. Make sure you use the promo code MMB for a special offer. So thanks so much, guys. Once again, I'm Mikey with MMB BBQ, manmeatbarbecue.com. Hit us up on all of our social media, which we chat about quite a lot with Chandler here. And sorry, I feel like I'm talking a little fast, but I'm trying to get to this conversation as fast as possible. So we are going to dive right into this conversation with Chandler. So once again, guys, this barbecue podcast is brought to you by BBQ Rubs. So make sure you check them out, BBQ.com, and use the promo code MMB. What's up, guys? It's Mikey with MMB Barbecue. We are talking to Chandler today. If you guys do listen to Wayne's Barbecue podcast, he was a guest on that show. So you have a little bit of an intro to him if you are following that, or if you're following Ren's Barbecue podcast. So, Chandler, you guys are opening up the restaurant. You got your food truck going. How hectic is that?
It's insanity, man. Life is literally insane. I think people throw that word literally around too much, but if you saw my schedule every day, it's nuts. Like yesterday alone, for example, I went and met with a great local farm here in Kentucky. That's where we're based, is out of Lexington, Kentucky, and it's called Marksberry Farms. And basically what this company does is they go around all the local farms here in Kentucky and they pick up or they buy different animals from the local farms. And then so you can get all the Kentucky proud meat you want from this farm. So I went down there and met with them. That's like an hour south. And then I turned around and drove 2 hours north to go see a barn. We've got a ton of awesome barns around here. And this one just happened to have fallen down, and the person that owned the property knew we were building a restaurant and was like, if you guys come remove the wood, you can have all that barn wood, and that stuff is high dollar on the market. So I had a crazy busy day yesterday, and then turned around and had to prep meat to go on the smoker at 6 a.m. this morning, and we had to cook it all day. And then we had a food truck event tonight, got done with that about 10 o'clock, and we sold out. So that was crazy hectic while we were there, and then we turn around and do it all again tomorrow. So busy is definitely the word of my life right now.
Busy, you sound like a busy bee.
That's right. Yeah. It's partly my fault though. I mean, I think I keep adding it on though. So it's kind of self brought on.
But I feel like the busiest people are the most successful. You know what I mean? When you keep yourself busy, you don't have time to get in trouble, and you don't have time to you don't have time to mess stuff up. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, cool. Yeah. I'm way too busy to do that. So I'm going to keep being successful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you started to touch on something there that's great, is that when we I don't know if your listeners are just into doing barbecue competitions, or if they're trying to start their own thing in a restaurant or a food truck, or if they're just backyard barbecue guys thinking about it.
I think we got it all.
Yeah. And I think this kind of applies to everybody, honestly, is that you ever heard the saying paralysis by analysis? And it basically means that you take so long to make a decision about something. And the way that our team's schedule is with everything is that we don't have time to sit here and mull over a decision for 2 weeks, and then maybe I'll try this new recipe out and sell it. Like, no, we on Thursday, hey, we're going to do this recipe and then try this special out on the truck and see if it works. And then if it doesn't work, then we just move on to the next thing. And so we're constantly trying to fail forward. Let's see how many cheesy puns I can get in here in one episode.
Perfect. We'll keep counting.
I think that's 2. So
we are at 2. We're at a grand total of 2 so far. So now with opening up the restaurant and obviously owning the food truck and stuff like that, do you find consistency of meat to be somewhat of a problem, or are you pretty are you able to make an order for you want pork shoulders, so I want 15 10-pound pork shoulders. Is your supplier pretty good at being able to give you those 10-pound pork shoulders, or is it
right.
where some of them show up and you're like, oh cool, this is a 4-pound pork shoulder, and then that one's which 4 pounds is way too little, guys. But you know what I mean? Is there an inconsistency in the pounding? Do you ever find that was that a struggle at the beginning?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, it's the way it worked for us is in the beginning we weren't doing enough volume to really purchase from your big box delivery services like Cisco or US Foods. So what we would do is just go to a big box store like Sam's or Gordon Food Services. And buy, let's say, brisket, right? We're selling inside of Rupp Arena, and we are basically, with our partnership with the Kentucky Cattlemen Association, we're only allowed to sell beef. So we would buy, 120 pounds of brisket for one game, and we'd sell all of that in 2 hours. But when you're sitting there pulling those briskets out of the box, of course, just like you said, you want them all to be as close to the same size as you can, but basically what ends up happening, if you get some that are different sizes, the way we figured out to do it is you cook them till they're done, and then once they're done, you can pull them off, wrap them, and just stick them into our little Cambro hot box, and it keeps it just as perfectly tender as you'd want it. But now that we're able to do more volume and we're ordering through Cisco, we're getting certified Angus beef through them, and we've put in a request, and they've actually been really good about getting us pretty consistently sized brisket, so that problem seems to have finally fixed itself.
Yeah, because
but yeah, you definitely want to make sure your stuff's the same size.
That sounds like a nightmare to me. You know what I mean? Like being like, oh well, I need whatever, I want 10-pound briskets, and then they end up giving me 17. Well, that's a huge difference in cook time.
Yeah, it'd be a difference in price, too.
Yeah, and there's a huge difference in price. Believe me.
From a business side, it matters so much.
Oh, it definitely does. And briskets have gone, at least for us, briskets have gone through the roof in price.
Oh, my God. That's everybody, man. Well, barbecue is it's really blown up in the mainstream. I mean, I think I hesitate to use the word fad, but it seems like a lot of people are getting into it, which is awesome. I mean, it's great for me. I think a rising tide, raises all ships. That's pun number 3, by the way. And
there you go.
So I think that, I don't know, man. I honestly lost my thought. I'm exhausted from today. What was I saying? I can't even.
Barbecue being a trend, and I do agree with you.
Yeah.
Barbecues are barbecue restaurants and barbecue places, and some people that barbecue in general, it's becoming a big trend. And I feel like some people lose that love. I was at a very nice barbecue restaurant, and I just felt like the people who work there didn't really give 2 hoots about barbecue. They were like, whatever, I don't really care. This is a job.
Right.
And you're going to get that, obviously, even at places that love barbecue. But at the same time, it's like some of these places you go to, and these people are putting their blood, sweat, and tears into these into these pieces of meat, and you can taste it. You can totally taste it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, our philosophy, we kind of have a couple different governing philosophies for the business, and we have our first rule is our company tagline is where your family eats with ours, because it's a family run and owned business, and everybody that works there as of now is related to us in some way. So we have we go way out of our way to make you feel like family when you come there. Like we have a rule where no conversation is too long. So you can come up to our tent and hang out with us. And like, if you've already ordered your food and you want to sit there and talk to me for 45 minutes, like this one woman did one time, I'll sit there and talk to you while I work. Like, I don't care. And it's no problem to us at all, because I genuinely love serving people and making people feel better about having spent time with us. Her food was cold, so that's on her. But I think she left being happy that she got to connect with, awesome people. And then the second rule we have is it's directly reflective of the product we put out. Is we try to put out competition quality barbecue every single time. It's kind of ironic because we've only done a couple of competitions. But when you're in a competition, and all the competitive barbecue cooks out there know, like, you're putting so much effort into that box. You're trying to impress people with one bite, and like, it's a miracle if they go back for a second bite. So we're doing the same kind of thing when we're putting your plate of food together. We're making sure there's not too much fat in the pulled pork. We pull everything fresh. So the pulled pork, we leave it as a whole shoulder and just pull it to order. So the brisket, when you come up and order a brisket from us, we slice it right there fresh, nothing pre-sliced. So we're trying to get that perfect bite every single time. And I don't know, like, my biggest fear right now, to be completely transparent, is that as we open the restaurant, I have to hire people that don't have my last name. So it's going to be hard. Yeah, it's going to be hard to find people, or I don't know if it's going to be hard. I'm just worried about finding people that care as much as we do about making sure the customer really has the experience we want them to have.
I totally understand, and that is I would have that fear of my own. I agree with you, because you guys put so much love into that product. It's going to be hard to find somebody that will do the same, because it's not theirs. You know what I mean? It's not their baby. It's yours.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm doing so. I'm a voracious reader, man. I'm constantly reading books, and I'm desperately looking for how to get team members to buy into your company and your company's vision and values. And it's something that, it's honestly the only thing that keeps me up at night about the company. It's not, I don't really worry about people coming to eat with us. I think we have a great product. I think we have a good brand. It's a good experience when you come hang out with us. But the thing that keeps me up at night is people the people we have to hire, and them not carrying that through. But I know that's on me and our leadership team to train those people up the right way and make sure we hire the right people to begin with. So, but it keeps us up at night, that's for sure.
There'll be some growing pains, but I'm sure you'll get through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure there'll be a little bit of growing pains. There always is.
If anybody has any tips, they can tweet to me. I'll listen.
Exactly. Perfect. That's actually a good segue. So the thing that really sparked my interest in you guys, not only because you guys do kick-ass barbecue, but is you have a good social media presence. And I feel like a lot of people don't utilize social media.
Oh my God! You're gonna get me started on my soapbox tonight, man.
I am.
You got enough time tonight?
I got time for you. I got time, sir.
Oh my God! Let's definitely talk about social media right now. We've got to get these guys and girls out here, these pitmasters, inspired to do something on this stuff, man.
Some of these people, honestly, like, they're cooking barbecue every day and they're posting once every 3 weeks. Like, really?
Yeah.
That's the best barbecue you have, that you can only post once every 3 weeks?
Oh my God, it's killing me. So do your listeners ever have questions for you about social media?
I have not. I'm not sure yet, but I'm gonna go with it anyways. We haven't. I get some questions. I don't get too many. We did start. I obviously do a shout out every Friday. We do a shout out to a listener. And what we do is we use our hashtag ManMeatBarbecue, and we've been growing that. And I'm looking at it right now. And obviously, guys, these shows are pre-recorded, so if you look at it later, the numbers will change. I really don't care. But As of right now, our hashtag has been used 1,300 times. 1,323 times. And
is that on Instagram?
On Instagram, and that is in the matter of, I believe, 5 months. So we're slowly growing our hashtag. People are starting to put it in. And the cool thing that some people don't understand with hashtags is, like, even though it just says hashtag Man Meets Barbecue, and it doesn't exactly go directly to me, like people can't click it and see that, they start to get interested about that hashtag. They're like, wait, why is this person using it? So they're going to do a little bit more work. They may Google it.
Right.
And then our website's going to pop up. So everything starts leading back to you. I feel like most people don't understand that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. To start with Instagram, I mean, that's like my biggest platform right now. If I was going to tell anybody right now, if you had to pick between, let's say, the big four, which is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and let's call it Pinterest, right? That's four. If you had to pick one of those four, and I think a lot of times people don't do anything because, again, to go back to that paralysis by analysis, I don't know which one to use first. I don't know which one's going to give me my best results. A lot of people look at it like which one's the easiest. I'm going to say that Instagram is – yeah, they're all really easy to set up and run. But what's not easy is getting in there and putting the time in. Like we were kind of talking about before the show a little bit, like going out there and clicking on different hashtags and getting engaged in the community. So if I had to give somebody an actionable step, I would say create an Instagram account, or if you already have one, get on there right now and at least A, post a photo, and then B, search the hashtag barbecue or BBQ, if nothing else, or search the hashtag Man Meat Barbecue, and then start engaging with that, with those people, and then you're going to build your following up, and then people can just engage back and forth with each other. And I've made so many great connections online. I host a podcast here in Lexington where I go out and interview interesting people that live here, specifically in Central Kentucky. And most of those people I have met through, one of the big social media platforms. And I would never have had those opportunities had we not been so active on them.
Now, what's your podcast called? I didn't even know that. I must have missed that.
Yeah. No. It's just not been released yet. So we're in the pre-production process. Yeah. So we're like, I've recorded the first 10 episodes, and the barbecue company has sponsored it, and it just goes back to that whole where your family eats with ours thing. We're trying to help other businesses be able to get their brand out there, and I'm interviewing people that we find interesting and that I think do a good job on some level, whether they're doing a good product or they have a good business or it's just a genuinely good person. We're out there. We're going to interview them and try to shine a light on them. And it's a super niche podcast, but if you're interested in hearing about what is going on here in Central Kentucky, you can look up the Facebook page is really all we have now for it. It's called Behind the Bluegrass. So we're looking at launching that in the next month or so. Well,
that sounds awesome. Guys, since obviously this is pre-recorded, that may already be launched. So it's called Behind the Bluegrass. Make sure you guys go check it out. There's enough love for everyone. That's how I feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
I never want to be that person that's like, don't go listen to their podcast. Only listen to mine.
Yeah.
And that's not good. Not good karma. At least that's how I feel.
You know what, man? That kind of sparks something in my head. Like when you go onto these social media platforms, don't just be all about you. Some of the biggest bumps I've seen in my numbers and engagement is when I'm promoting other people's stuff selflessly, which means with no expectation of return. I will do a screen grab on Instagram of somebody else's photo and just give them love to all of my followers and try to help them build their audience. I think that is huge too. If you think somebody did a killer rack of ribs and you want to show your followers directly, like, either regram it or do the screen grab and then give them a shout out. I think that is so underutilized. I think people get on there and all they do is promote their thing, and they're missing an entire avenue where they could help other people out and tap into their followers, and then you can grow together as opposed to against each other.
And I think a lot of people view it as, well, I want the follower, not you. Well, they can follow multiple people.
Right, exactly.
And if you're not giving back, at least this is the way I feel, if you're not giving back, if you're not giving someone anything, why should they follow you? They're not getting anything out of you. You're just taking. You're constantly taking. I want to give back. That's a big reason why I started this podcast, is giving back to the barbecue community. I feel like it's a tight-knit community. People enjoy each other, and they like talking about barbecue. And that's one of the coolest things I've always said is, it doesn't matter what line of life what line of life you walk or where you come from. Barbecue brings people together. Food brings people together.
Absolutely.
As soon as you start talking about food, people go, "Oh, well, I have this recipe," or "Oh, that's really cool. What are you making? Oh, I'd love to come."
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and what happens is that, like, I get inspiration from all of these pages. You know, like I said, I went down to that Marksbury farm and I had this incredible local organic smoked bologna beef sandwich, and it's incredible. And I've never thought about smoking bologna. Another barbecue place here that I'm good friends with is Blue Door Smokehouse, and they did a smoked bologna sandwich. And now I'm like, man, 2 different places have done it. It's been incredible both times I've had it. Maybe we should try it and put our own unique spin on it. And, you know, I think that when you get ideas together, a better idea comes out of it, and everybody gets to move forward. If that makes sense.
No, that totally makes sense. And I was just about to kind of say the same, not the exact same thing, but I was going to say, I find when I get in a creative cooking rut, Instagram really helps. When I'm like, you know what, I've been cooking the same thing. You know, I've been making ribs, I've been making shoulders, I've been doing this, I've been making steaks. What else do I want to make? And then I just start looking through all the barbecue posts, and it's like, oh, dude, that guy did this. I'm going to try it. Obviously, it's not going to turn out the exact same way as he did it because he's not cooking it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just find it interesting that I can put my own spin on things, but it can still, like you said, you ate this smoked bologna sandwich, and it kind of sparked something for you. Now, if you make that exact same bologna sandwich, it's going to be different.
Yeah, absolutely. It has to be. I'm using a different bologna. I'm going to be putting it on our fresh baked potato bread. You know, we do everything from scratch. We have a fresh made Granny Smith apple slaw. Like, I'm going to be putting a completely new spin on something that might have the exact same components, you know, bread, slaw, bologna. But I'm going to smoke it with a different wood for a different time to a different temperature. I'm going to grill my bread instead of just serving it soft. Like, there's so many different things you can do with it. I think people get okay, here's the thing about this, man, that you have your Instagram account where you have 200 followers. You know, there's 350 million people on Instagram, and you're worried about your 200 followers and thinking you're this big fish in this small pond, and it's the complete opposite. You know, you need to be overly sharing, overly engaging. You know, it's
oh, yeah.
You need, you know what I mean? Like, if you have somebody comment on your picture and you don't respond to them, like, who do you think you are? Like, are you better than somebody to where you're not going to get in there and like really engage with somebody that's shown interest in your thing? If you have, you know, any aspiration of trying to grow, whether it be a lot of barbecue guys get into doing sauces and rubs, and maybe they want to start a catering thing. And I had this problem too when we started, and it's why I'm so passionate about it. Like, when we started this, I was like, we make good food. Everybody should just love it. And I posted a picture to Instagram, and I think it got like 5 likes. And I think it was all people that I had connected with via my contact list on my cell phone. You know, and it's like, that was just so humbling, where you're like, man, people in the world have no reason to know who I am. I need to give them a reason. So then we got into liking other people's photos, and not just like bombing or like swapping or like share. Like, oh my God, don't do that. I will hunt you down if you spam me. If you spam me, I'm coming for you. Like, oh my God, it's so aggravating. There's nothing worse. And it's not genuine. I'd rather you have 100 committed followers than have gone to eBay and bought 10,000.
I agree with you. And I am a big, firm believer against that. Don't go buy followers. You look dumb.
Don't. I will hunt you down as well. Spam and follower buyers. Like you're on my list. Yeah.
I am not I won't say I'm a like spammer, but if I do find somebody's page, I do find myself kind of creeping through it, and every kind of barbecue thing I do, I like. So every once in a while, it'll be like, you just like I'll look at it, it's like, oh god, I just liked 15 of their photos, but it's like that brisket was so cool. Oh, that's so nice. And then like I'll comment on it too, being like, hey, that's such a cool, that smoke ring's beautiful, or something, like that, something, those sausages look so good. And sometimes I just get caught up in it because I start looking at it and I'm like, oh damn, I like that one. Oh god, I like that one. Oh god, I like that one.
Yeah, but that's not like spamming. I want to be clear to everybody out there. That is great. Like you just had a guest on the show, the guy from Preppy Pig Barbecue, right?
Yes, Patrick. Patrick's awesome.
So I heard that, and I saw it on your Twitter feed, I believe, and I went and checked his stuff out, and I did that to him. I genuinely liked 10 of his photos. I didn't just do it to try to gain a new follower. Like I followed him first, and I liked 10 of his photos, and I didn't just unfollow him when he followed me back. And I even commented on his photo. I was like, I'm sorry for like bombing you tonight, man. I just heard you on this podcast, and like these pictures are incredible. You're doing it the right way. But that's how you get in there and you engage. And we're not perfect, and we don't know everything, but I'm a lot further along than I was when I started. That's for sure.
And I will say that's another thing that is a huge pet peeve of mine. The people that say, follow for a follow, or
oh my god,
I'm going to follow you, and if you don't follow me, I'm unfollowing you.
Oh my god, oh man, I'm not even going to get on that soapbox, man. That's
a hard one for me.
You got to, okay, in this society, right, I think we all have this problem where we all want it now. Yes. And I'm that way, and I have to fight against that a lot of times. But at least I know that. At least I know that I have that problem. I need to address it. And you got to be able to go out there and put in the time, right? You have to pay your dues. I think that people, they see the overnight success story, but they don't see the 10 years of preparation before that. And all they want is the result. They want the next fat loss pill. They want something. So they want to apply that same philosophy to growing their barbecue company, growing their backyard barbecue skills, growing their competition team. And they're not sitting there willing to put in the work to go study successful Instagram pages or catering restaurants or barbecue competition teams and learn exactly what they're doing. They don't go out and listen to your show and pick up at least one new tip an episode and improve their thing. They don't go out and listen to Wayne's show, the Ren's Barbecue podcast. They don't listen to his competition show to pick up maybe one new cooking tip an episode. And it blows my mind that people don't. And we live in this age where you have so much opportunity to better yourself in whatever area you want. Did you imagine you'd be a barbecue guy, 5 years ago?
I loved barbecuing, but I didn't think I would take it to this extent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And but you put in the time, and every day you got a little better, and now here you are with an awesome show, and in 5 years you're going to have a completely different animal because you've put in 5 more years of time.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you. And that's the big thing is people don't understand that. It's like, oh my God, you grew this overnight. Yeah, well, it was a long-ass night.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, man. I love that. Oh my, I'm going to steal that from you. I'm not even going to ask.
You can steal
I can't
that.
Even ask.
Because when people say, hey, you did that overnight. Yeah, it was long. It was a long night, believe me.
Man, I've heard a lot of great answers to that question and a lot of standard ones, and I've given the standard ones, but I think that might be the best way to put it. That is one long night. That's on point, man. I like that.
I also have the thing, kind of what made me think of this while you were talking about that. It's like I always tell people, you gotta, when you invest in yourself and you do stuff for yourself, obviously you have to invest first, but you have to give back. You always have to give back. And people don't understand that even on social media, you got to give back. Because if you're not giving back on social media, then no one cares.
Yep. If I go to your Twitter feed, for example, right, and really quickly, if you're going to do social media, focus on Instagram first, Twitter second, Facebook third, and then Pinterest fourth.
But the thing is, they all link too. Like literally, I can post a photo on Instagram and it sends it to Facebook. It'll send it to Twitter.
Right.
Like,
and I actually have I used to send my Instagram photos to Twitter, and then I went in there and looked at it, and it looked so much worse than if I took the extra time to go into Twitter and post the photo natively.
Yeah.
So I would recommend people. I do link it back to Facebook because it looks good in the feed, but Twitter, it just comes across as a lot of text, and you miss the mark a lot. I used to do it too, but I would recommend people do that. But yeah, I agree, man. Like it is a lot simpler than people think it is, but start small. Put in the time on Instagram first. Like, we're going to harp Instagram here. Like, get on Instagram. It's the easiest one.
And I feel like Instagram lends itself because it's a photo.
Yeah.
I mean, I can say, hey, I'm smoking a pork shoulder on Twitter, but I'm not going to take a picture. Maybe I won't take a picture of it. Maybe I just post, just the text.
Right.
So that it doesn't get across as well. Now, when I post a picture of a pork shoulder, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
You see this, and then you're like, oh, dude, that looks so good. I want that. And then you can do video on it, too. So you can show that, like, when you're pulling that pork shoulder, it's like, oh, look how juicy that is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an exciting time to be in this space because there's even more social media platforms coming out there right now. We've got a Vine we've been playing with. We've got Snapchat for our company that we've been playing with. And even these live streaming apps. I don't know if you've seen Meerkat or Periscope yet.
I have not.
Yeah, you got to check these out, man. It's like the newest thing. You basically just it streams directly whatever your camera is pointing at. So I can see it being in a cooking world. Like if somebody out there wants to start a barbecue cooking show, like, hey, tonight at 6, tune in on your phone. I'm going to be live streaming me prepping a brisket. This is exactly how LYLES Barbecue Company preps a brisket.
Well, that's pretty cool.
It is cool. And it's all brand new, and it's going to be exciting to see.
Sounds dangerous.
Yeah, it could be. But I mean, I think they said that about every social media platform in the beginning.
They have, absolutely.
It's pretty good about self-policing itself. So,
well, I feel like everything the kind of crap stuff kind of weeds itself out eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's the world is ever changing, and if you want to, here's the thing, right? Even if you're because I started out as backyard barbecuer, and I would put my photos up on my personal Instagram and Twitter when I started, and I just found out that barbecue is social. And it's like the perfect thing to be putting on social media because people would engage with you about it and they'd want to talk about their thing. And then I'd learn from them. And if you're a backyard guy or girl, like, do it. Do the social media stuff. If you're a big, barbecue smokehouse that's been around for 30 years, and you're not doing it, you should probably do it because a company like mine is going to catch you. Like, we are going to run you down because you're not moving fast enough. You're becoming the dinosaur. We got a place in Lexington like that, man. They've let their food, they've been around 30 years. They've let their food go downhill. They don't engage with people on social media. They've rested on their laurels, man. And it's sad to see because they have so much amazing brand equity and they have such a great spot in town here, and they just don't. They've gotten complacent. And social media, it's if you're active on it, you're fighting that complacency. You're always getting better. You have no choice but to get better.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. When you get complacent, especially in the restaurant industry, people start to leave.
Yeah.
They start to go, oh, well, that place is doing it better. I'm going to go over there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a reason why I spent 2 hours in central Kentucky yesterday meeting with a farm that produces organic grass-fed meat. The world's changing, and I'm just trying to prepare for it.
Now, is that a big thing down there with you guys?
It's not. It's not yet. And here's pun number 5. skate to where the puck's going to be. I think Wayne Gretzky said that. It's I think the world is heading that way. I think people are the local movement is so strong right now, in Kentucky especially. But it's kind of this catch-22. This town, the area, the market that we're selling in is a old school way right now, and they're always a little bit slow to adopt new philosophies and new things. They want to see it proven, on the bell curve. They're the late adopters to the laggards on the back end, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way it is. And we're here in this market, so we've got to play to that we got to play to that characteristic, basically. So we get our meat. We get a pretty good quality brisket and pork shoulder from Cisco Foods, and they bring it in. But I don't know necessarily what farm it comes from. But I know that more and more people are starting to care about knowing exactly what farm their pulled pork sandwich came from. So we're starting to explore it, and we're starting to see what it would cost. I mean, it's going to be more expensive, and I think the problem is, especially the biggest thing that barbecue guys and out there face right now is that, people expect to pay next to nothing for their barbecue. They associate it with the cheap meat. It's supposed to be inexpensive. I need to get in and out of there with a sandwich inside and drink for like $6. And even that's probably high to some people out there.
I wish.
But that's so underpriced. It really is. And, that's why a lot of your favorite barbecue spots have gone out of business, because they were too afraid, or their customers didn't support them in making money. And that when they went up $1 on their sandwiches, they all got mad about it. But if you're going to go, you're literally looking at, we're getting our pork shoulder right now for around like $1.05 a pound, $1.15, depending on the shipment. Meeting with those guys yesterday, and this shoulder that they gave me to try is just amazing. But it's $4 a pound. So you're looking at 4 times the cost to do something that is a better quality product, but unfortunately the person on the other end eating it is not going to understand. They're still going to just see pulled pork.
Exactly.
And in their mind, they've been so conditioned to, when they go to a barbecue place, they get a pulled pork sandwich. And they pay this for it. Like we have a struggle at our food truck when we have different specials, selling those specials, because people are so conditioned to go to a barbecue place and they eat brisket, or they eat pulled pork, or they get the rib, or they get the chicken. Like, it's just what they've done their entire life. And I think a human characteristic is, like we've said before, is just to be a little complacent.
Yeah. I know when I like to go to barbecue restaurants, I like to try a little bit of every meat, if I can. If they have a sampler platter, I tend to go towards that, just because I want to see. I guess I'm a little different though too. When I go to a barbecue restaurant, I'm going to try the meat. I want to see what they did to it, how they cooked it. I'm that weirdo that's like, hey, by the way, what wood do you guys use to smoke?
You're an early adopter, man. You're not an average consumer. You're definitely you're like I was when I go out to barbecue places.
Yeah, I would ask. I ask all the dumb, like, weird questions. Like, I've had servers that have looked at me and they're like, I don't know. I'm like, well, can you go back in the kitchen and ask? Like, are you guys smoking on a,
Oh, is there anything worse than a server that doesn't know? Is there anything that ruins your experience more than a server that just and then they give you attitude about not knowing? Like, how dare you ask me this question?
Yeah.
It's, oh my gosh.
How dare you ask me the one thing that I should know?
Yeah, like, how hard is it to know that you guys have a $50,000 Southern Pride in the back cooking all your meat? Like,
and you're using oak and cherry.
Yeah, right.
So much. I know that's so much knowledge that you have to put in your brain that you can't even handle it.
Yeah.
But please, can you help me just a little bit?
I'm loving this. We're getting on all my big soapboxes for going to barbecue places,
which is perfect. This is
awesome.
I went to a barbecue restaurant recently, and I had an awesome experience. And it was just, I walked in, started talking to the lady, and I'm like, well, what do you guys, smoke with? And she goes, oak and cherry. I'm like, awesome, cool. And she's like, you're the first person that's ever asked that. She's like, but they ingrained it that we had to know. Like,
Yeah.
yes. I'm glad to be the first person that's ever asked that, and you guys have been open for 15 years.
Yeah, that's odd. I can't believe that. Was that in Chicago then?
Yeah, it's in Chicago. I think it just may have been the first person that ever asked her.
Oh,
Not the first person in general that's ever asked.
Well, that's not too far off what we experience, man. I don't get a lot of people that come up to me and ask me what kind of wood we cook with. You know, a lot of them, they don't care. But the people, I tell you what we do is that when somebody comes up and they ask me barbecue specific questions, like, and I say it all the time, I love cooking for backyard barbecue guys because they know exactly what's going into what's happening. And those guys, like, I'm not going to lie, I pour extra effort into talking to. I answer all their questions. I will talk to them as long as I try to go above and beyond for that guy because I know as a company that that's the kind of person that's going to be a champion for my company for free one day. You know, they're going to market for me essentially. And it's a mutually beneficial relationship where he helps us spread the word. And we get to, you know, have a good time with him or her.
And I mean, especially like you saying, you know, he'll be a champion for your company. I say that kind of in a different way. I say money can buy almost every type of advertisement. The only thing that money cannot buy is word of mouth.
That's right.
See, it doesn't matter how many billboards I go and buy. It doesn't matter how many, you know, magazines I advertise in, newspapers, whatever. I can spend $1 million. It doesn't matter. It's still not going to beat somebody going, you know what? Their barbecue is badass.
Yeah, and you know what? All you have to do, say you own a competition team or a catering thing and you're trying to build your brand, you know, you just have to look for the moments to make an ordinary moment just extraordinary. A good example is that, you know, we're constantly out there looking for ways to make people's experiences awesome, like more than they expected. I have a rule where if you give me an hour of your time, I want to give you 3 hours of content. Like I don't want you to waste your money. Like if you give me $1, I'm going to give you a $3 value. That's why we make everything from scratch. That's why we talk to you about everything. But this couple, they came out to eat at our food truck. They didn't follow us on Instagram. They just happened to be going to the bar that we were at, and we just happened to meet there. They came out, and then like we started our thing where we're really friendly. We started asking them how they were doing, you know, what brought them out, you know, and then they said, oh, we just moved here. We're new to the area. We moved here from Tennessee. And we're just trying to get out downtown a little bit and see what's going on. And I was like, you just moved here from Tennessee. So have you ever had the official drink of the state of Kentucky? See, everybody thinks the official drink of the state of Kentucky is bourbon, right? I mean, that's what you would think, right?
I do think that still.
Yeah. No, it's actually the local insider drink here it's called Ale 81. Have you ever heard of that?
I have not.
Okay, so I got to ship you a case of Ale 81, man. This stuff is it's incredible. It's called, it's like, we have all kind of slang words for it, like Kentucky swamp water. It's like a citrus soda, and it's just amazing. I love it. I'm a huge fan. So, sorry, I'm starting to crave an Ale 8. I got to go find one after this interview. So, but this couple, I was like, so you guys just moved here. I was like, have you guys ever tried Ale 8 before? And they were like, same thing as you, man. They're like, no, I've never heard of that. What is that? And I was like, all right, I've got a treat for y'all. Like, I got to be the one that gives you your first Kentucky Ale 81. And they were like, sure, why not? And then so I go back to our cooler. We happen to have some, you know, thank God. And I bring out 3 of them, right? And I sit there and I kind of do a little showmanship with them, and I'm cracking the tops on them, and you know the steam is coming out, the cold steam, and then I hand them to them, and I cheersed them right there over some Kentucky swamp water, and then let them have their first Ale 8. And you know they've eaten with us a bunch since then. They have told me that they bring as many people out as they can. They are always telling people about us, and I have no way of knowing what the impact of that one event was. But I know that I genuinely enjoyed that moment. And I think that they did too, because they keep coming back. And, you know, there's nothing special about giving somebody a soda that cost you 25 cents. Money wise, but it's just the fact that you thought about them to create a unique experience. You don't have to spend a lot of money, but you just got to be aggressive about looking for that moment. It's something I'm very passionate about. And I wish that more people did that. I think it'd be a better world, to be completely honest. This is my idealistic, portion of the show.
I feel like that's you doing that. And it doesn't have to do with the money. It has nothing to do with how much that soda cost. It had nothing to do with that. They probably saw how passionate you were about making them have a good time.
Absolutely.
And they were like, oh my God, this guy who doesn't know us at all I could never see this human ever again, cares about the next 10 minutes of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. If time is valuable, man. Time is valuable. And I'm trying to keep from going too deep. Yeah, absolutely. It really is. And if you apply that to you're going to apply it to your food. Like, I think everybody out there is naturally good at that. That's why you're in barbecue. It's going to take you 12 hours to do a pork shoulder, right? If not more, depending on your cooking technique. And if you're going to spend that amount of time to make sure that people have good food, why would you half-ass it on the sides? Why would you not go the extra mile on the way you sell it? Why would you just expect people to come up and just appreciate the work you put in and not try to explain it to them?
And the funny thing, kind of going back to that, we said it earlier, barbecues, everyone thinks it should be cheap and blah, 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 blah. Oh God, I shouldn't pay more than $6 for the sandwich. I shouldn't do this more than this. The thing that I would say to anyone that says that to me, it's very simple. I have this little kind of story saying that I like to tell people. There's a lady, she's walking by a cafe. She looks down, she sees Pablo Picasso sitting right there. She goes, oh my God. She goes, excuse me, you're Pablo Picasso, aren't you? And he goes, absolutely, I am. And she goes, oh my God, could you draw me something? He goes, absolutely. He takes a napkin out, draws her just this beautiful drawing. He hands it to her. And she goes, oh my God, thank you. He goes, that'll be $10,000. And she goes, but it only took you 10 minutes. He goes, yes, but it took me a lifetime to learn the knowledge to get me there.
Yeah.
And I think that amazing. People don't think about how much goes into barbecue.
Right.
They don't think about, okay, I created this pork shoulder for you. You didn't know that I woke up at 6 a.m. because it's 10.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know that I prepped this. I got it on my cooker. I tended my fire. I made sure that it didn't get too hot. I made sure that it didn't get too cold. I probed it. I made sure that the internal temperature was safe for you to eat. And I put so much love into this, and it took me 12 to 15 hours.
Yeah.
Before I even have the ability to see you to sell this to you. So It took me 15 hours.
I tell our team all the time, we started talking about this because we had some people that complained about pricing, and it's such a small number, but it's funny how we call them the haters, right? They take up so much of your mind, but it's less than 1% of people that we engage with have a dissatisfactory experience. But it's funny how much they bother us. And, we had some people that complained about pricing. And so we started talking about it like, man, are our prices really too high? And then obviously we came to the decision that they weren't. But what we started thinking about was like you just said, I was thinking about your dinner before you were awake. I was thinking about your dinner. Think about that. I was thinking about what you were going to eat for dinner before you even started the day. And then most times I was thinking about what you were going to have for dinner the next night before you had dinner the previous day, because that's when we are trimming our stuff down. So you're looking at an almost 24-hour process to bring a brisket to life. And as a consumer, you want to complain about having to pay what is it, $7.99 for our brisket?
Okay, so your brisket sandwich is $7.99.
I believe so. Yeah.
People, you need
Sounds
to
about right.
stop complaining about that.
Yeah.
Because that is not expensive.
Yeah, you can get a brisket sandwich from us and a side for like $10.06. So it's probably actually closer to $8.50. But yeah, I mean $10 for a hefty amount of brisket, a fresh made bun that we do everything the day of, and some scratch made sides. I mean, you're getting some really artisan food here. There's nothing out of a box.
I can barely go to McDonald's for that price.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But I'm telling you, there's such a thing around barbecue. I literally got a thing the other day that said the food was really good, but it was a little pricey. And I'm like, you ate with me for under $12. What do you spend elsewhere? Where else do you go? So
when they went to McDonald's and spent $10 on overprocessed meat, if you can call it that, and
that's a long shot.
and some bread buns that aren't really bread buns; they're more like cakes because there's so much sugar in them. Mm-hmm. And they go, "Oh God, I just spent $8. I rather spend the extra $4 every day."
Yeah, and you know what? Here's the thing. If you're out there selling something, or if you're a competition cook, or if you're just a backyard guy and you got that one friend that's got too big a mouth and has a problem with what you do, we wrote a great blog post addressing this issue. It's called Haters Gonna Hate, Hate, Hate. And we pay homage to the great Taylor Swift in this, and it's on our website. But we basically talk about how we deal with what happens when we get negative reviews. Like, what do we feel about that? What are the conversations we have? We're transparent because it's a family company, and we truly believe our tagline, where your family eats with ours. So we want to talk to you like family. It's intimate. So we tell you what it makes it feel like, and kind of the process we go through with it. And then at the end, I'll give you the ending. We decided to just ignore the people that are angry. If I've truly wronged somebody, like, I will make it right. I will give you free food. I will make your experience better if I've truly done something wrong. But if you come in and complain about the price, if you come in and complain that the flavors weren't what you like, if you come in and complain that maybe we looked a little funny, like, we looked at it like we can't be all things to all people. And we literally have to ignore those people. As much as we want to appease everyone,
you can't.
You can't. We have to make a conscious effort to put those people aside, and what we've decided to do is double down our efforts with people that enjoy us. So instead of wasting a free sandwich on somebody that's angry for no reason, just so I can take a bad customer, right, and make them at best, I'm going to make that bad customer an average customer. Think about that, at best. So if I took and gave a free sandwich to, let's say, a slightly above average customer, all of a sudden I might turn that person into a prophet, right? A person that's going out there and spreading the LYLES Barbecue Company message.
Exactly.
Think about that. Don't waste your stuff on people that'll only ever be average. And go back to what we talked about with social media. All they're going to do is take from you. They're always going to have something to say. Now, they're always going to have a problem.
Do you ever find... I've been noticing it lately, and I've been noticing it more and more, that each social media kind of almost has its own little attitude towards it.
Yeah.
I feel like Instagram people like to comment and like to creep on your stuff. So you have a lot of followers. Not everyone likes it, but they like to watch your page.
Yeah.
Now, I find that Twitter is a little bit more engaging. People will pay attention. And Facebook, for me, for some odd reason lately, not personally on our page or anything, but just as an overall barbecue scene, I feel like it's a lot of haters.
Yeah. What's bold about that is, like, I think the stereotype behind online people hating on you is that they could hide behind an anonymous identity. And now all of a sudden these people are saying this stuff with their full-on profile out. and they're saying just incredible things where you're looking at them going, you would never say that to my face, A. And B, like, I now know who you work for. Like, what are you going to do if I turn this into your boss and they know you act like this on your off time?
Yeah.
It's insane to me. We actually had a person, I'll tell you, you want to hear a Facebook story. We had, I take all of our photos, pretty much every photo I have. I have a couple friends that do some expert camera work, and we use their stuff every once in a while. But when I'm out on the truck, when we're in the restaurant, like, I'm taking my photos we started on an iPhone 4S. I just finally upgraded to the 6, right? So I'm taking it on a standard smartphone camera. I take pictures and put them on Instagram, do a little tweaking on there, and then I'll post them to Facebook. I had a guy comment, and he said something along the lines of, like, you guys need to take better pictures. Like, and that was the summation of what he said, but he wasn't constructive about it. It was just blatant, like, it was a rude comment. I would have left it alone, but one of our fans, one of our true believers, right? She response. Like, she all capsed him and, like, went in on him in, like, this long form essay about why he was wrong and how he should like us and blah, 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 blah. And first off, I was incredibly honored that she did that. But I ended up just deleting both comments because I don't want our page. I personally have set a rule. If you want your page to be that way, that's fine. I just don't want our page to be that kind of thing where it's this big war ground, right? But so I deleted that guy's comment, and he proceeds to write me a 2-star review on Facebook and complain about how I gave him, or I deleted his comment. And you can go to our Facebook page today, check out the reviews, and you can see where this guy did this. And I just told him, I was like, man, I didn't think it was very constructive. I didn't want to have a Facebook fight. Like, I'm going to police my page. And I guess I should be happy he gave me 2 out of 5 stars. He could have been meaner and given me 1 out of 5 stars, but lemons out of lemonade, I guess. He's an interesting cat, that's for sure.
But see, like, what I don't understand is, why are you such a negative human? Like, to the point where, like, I refuse to go out of my way to be negative. Like, like, unless it's the safety of another human, like, I'm just not going to do it. Like, I live in the city of Chicago, and we have cab drivers, and they are all insane. Mm-hmm. And I was driving the other night, and this cab driver literally was driving right behind me, so close that I could barely see his lights in my rearview mirror. And then he went around me and cut me off, like, almost hitting my car.
Jeez.
For that, I'll call, you can call 311 and complain.
Okay.
So I'll do that. But the only reason I'm complaining is because eventually he's going to hit somebody.
Yeah.
So that's the safety of others. Would I complain necessarily? I'll go if I go somewhere and I don't like it, cool. I just don't like it. I didn't, somebody asked me, like, hey, did you like this restaurant? No, I didn't like it. But that's just me. Go by yourself and go check it out. Mm-hmm. But, it doesn't get my seal of approval. For me, I won't go back. But that doesn't mean you won't,
Yeah.
So...
But you didn't say anything directly to them either, because you're not going to change who they are, and why does your opinion matter to them? Just let them do their thing. Who cares?
Exactly. And my bigger thing too is, like, we do rub reviews and we do product reviews and stuff like that, and I am a firm believer in, if I can't give it, we do it out of 5 stars. If I can't give it 3 or more stars, I'm not doing the review. I'm not going to sit there and bash your product because you put your love into it. And yes, unfortunately, guys, I understand that your rub is the best rub that I've ever had in my entire life. I understand that it's going to change. It's going to be mind-blowing, and I'm going to change my mind. I promise you. I understand that.
You're killing me right now.
How many people have you heard that from?
Oh my God, dude! I'm so glad we're doing this. I'm telling you stories that we only talk about in house. Really, I haven't had a medium to explain it to people yet. We had a guy. Okay, first off, when you come up to a barbecue restaurant, food truck, food tent, competition, anything, don't let the first thing out of your mouth be like, something along the lines of,
I make the best
I'm
rub
smarter than you. Like, exactly. Like, I make the best rub ever. Well, sir, if you think you make the best rub ever, that automatically means that I have to at least make, at best, I make the second best rub ever. So I'm mad because I'm super competitive. I hate to lose. So you and I already aren't going to have a good friendship, right? And I had this one guy one time. We went to this brewery downtown, and he comes out and eats, okay? And he orders a brisket platter from us, and he gets the mac and cheese on the side, and I take it inside to him, right? He gets a nice portion of brisket. Our mac and cheese has 3 different cheeses in it. It's a lot. It's shells. It's hearty. And I knew this guy was going to end bad. Yeah, it is. It is amazing. It's the reason I stay in the gym and it's unsuccessful. So I take this food into this guy and I drop it off at his table and I say, sir, if you need anything else, let me know. He was like, wait, is this it? And I was like, didn't you order the platter? And he was like, yeah, I just thought there was more food. I was like, no, sir, sorry. That's the standard. That's just our standard way of serving it right there. And he was like, oh. And then, okay, and that was it. And I walked out. And the guy came back out later to talk to me. And he comes up to me and he goes, man, I got to tell you, you guys have really good brisket. I like the flavor. You had good mac and cheese too. But, my wife makes the best. Like your barbecue sauce was just okay. Like my wife or my girlfriend, it was his girlfriend. My girlfriend makes the best barbecue sauce. And I was like, and I'm sitting there, I have to be nice to this guy's face. Like he's a jerk. He's the worst kind of person we have to deal with. But he's like, she's just best. And like we have this little competition down in Harrodsburg, Kentucky. And, she had a guy use her sauce and he won the backyard competition. And, it's just incredible. And I was like, oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And in my head the whole time, I'm just sitting there thinking like, you know how much barbecue we have sold over the last year? Like, I don't want to hear about your girlfriends. Like, I had one guy win a backyard barbecue competition with 10 people, and it's all rigged anyways. And come on, man. Like, just be decent. But you get all kind of people out there, man. And there's no perfect formula to handle it. You just do it the best you can.
It was all of her sauce, right? It had absolutely nothing to do with the way that he cooked the meat.
Oh my God. Her sauce. Oh my God. It was probably
to do with anything else, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, her sauce is probably like Sweet Baby Ray's with extra ketchup in it. Let's be honest. Like, I don't know. I just it doesn't matter. It doesn't. Why would you, the way you talk about it, if he wanted to come up and go, hey, I love your sauce was good. Like my girlfriend makes a sauce. It's more vinegar based. That's kind of what I like. Do you guys ever do vinegar based? And have a conversation. That's one thing. But the guy, blatantly came out and was very confrontational about it. And it's just, just be better than that, man. Jeez.
I just think it's so funny considering everyone makes the best. I make the best rub.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Of course you do.
Yep.
And like you said, at the very best, if I make my own rub, I have to be the second best. If you're saying yours is the best, and then I like to look at them and I go, oh, you make the best rub, cool. Where are you here? Oh, you're not. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So where do you make this best rub at?
Yeah, and where do you sell it, and who has actually tried it outside of grandma? Come on,
that
man.
Or, dude, your friends eat your food because it's free.
Oh my gosh, yeah, yep.
And that's the biggest thing. Like, everyone loves free food.
Yep.
Like, whether it sucks or not, they'll be like, "Oh, this is the best food I've ever had," because it's free.
Yep. The gap between free and paying $1 for something it might as well be eternity. It is so night and day the moment you ask somebody to pay for your thing. Like, I wrote a full-on 2-part blog post about this, like how I started selling barbecue and how freaked out I was. These people are going to see me for a fraud. I'm not that good. Anybody can do this. And I had the completely wrong mindset about it when I first got into selling barbecue. But, you don't know what you don't know, man. saying my dad has, and it's true. Like, you really don't know what you don't know. But a second saying he has is, when you don't know what to do, do what you know how to do. And I knew how to fake it till I make it. And so I just acted like I was the best rib cooker on the planet and prayed they didn't see me as a fraud. And they all enjoyed the product I made. But if you don't sell barbecue now, like, I encourage you to get out there and at least start trying. You know, it is a lot of fun, and I'm truly living my dream, and I'm blessed too to be working with an awesome team, and it just happens to be my family. And we couldn't do what we do without each other. That's for sure.
Yeah, you have a great support system. Like you said, your mom cooks, and she sounds like a wonderful lady. She sounds like she's a great cook, and I want to try some of her stuff.
You got to come down and try it, man.
And then you're cooking, and then your dad's part of it, right? Now, do you have any brothers or sisters that are part of it? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a little brother. By little, he's like 21 something, and he's at the University of Kentucky. He's on a full ride ROTC scholarship. He's actually going to be a pilot in the U.S. Air Force. But
very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. He helps us out though a lot, and then my wife helps us out a lot, and then his girlfriend helps us out whenever she can. She's not working elsewhere, so it is definitely a family-run thing. And I'll tell you out there, man. I was selling ribs by myself when I was stationed in D.C. with the Air Force, and it was a lot of work to do everything cradle to grave myself. And when we started this company, like, I had the hardest time letting go of that and really leaning on my team and trusting them and then appreciating them for the work that they put in. And I would say that's one of my biggest problems over the last year of trying to grow this company is appreciating the work that they all put in, because everybody has a role to play, and no one role is more important than the other, because without the wheels, the car doesn't roll down the road. You know what I mean? And you get a good team around you, man, that is better at doing stuff than you are, you'll be successful. Like, my mom is a way better cook than I am. She just is. And she makes my job of selling stuff a lot easier. But you can get people around you too that you don't even know necessarily. So they're called virtual mentors, right? Get out there and read a book. Like Gary Vaynerchuk is amazing talking about social media. Have you ever read his stuff? You ever?
I have not.
Yeah, you got to get it, man. If nothing else, pick up Jab, 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 Right Hook. I mean, it'll revolutionize the way you do social media. Like, pick that copy up and then call me back and let me know what you thought about it. Like, I think you'll love it since you like social media so much. And then, like, everybody has that person that taught them how to do something. And that's what my dad is to our company. He's not so involved with the day-to-day. He has an actual day job, but he's there to bounce ideas off and has that. He's from South Georgia. Like, he was born and raised his whole childhood until he joined the military, until he joined the Air Force, actually. He was down in South Georgia, so he's got that good old country boy wisdom and just a knack for knowing kind of the right thing to do. So I definitely hit the lottery when it came to having a naturally occurring team around me. But a lot of people do. You have friends right now, if you thought about it, that are good at things you're not good at. You're just not taking advantage of them. You're not incorporating them into what you're doing. I'm sure your partner is complimentary to you in some way.
Yeah, she deals with all my podcasts. And deals with,
I hope she likes this one.
And she deals with my barbecue habit. So, that's the most I can ask for. She's awesome. The wife is awesome. She understands that, I love doing barbecue and I have a lot of fun with it. And like I told you before we started on this podcast, I have been thinking about starting to do a little bit of catering, and it is scary. It is definitely scary because I don't want to screw it up. And it's like, I know I can make good pulled pork. I know I can make good ribs, or at least I think I make good ribs because I like them. I eat them and I like them. So what worries me is will everyone else like them? Will somebody actually want to pay me for this rack of ribs? Like, am I worth it? You know what I mean? And that's kind of, I'm sure, how you kind of freaked you out probably, right, when you guys were really starting to start the food truck.
Absolutely, man. I absolutely, like I said, I'll tell you a story about our food truck in the early days. We're actually not, we say food truck because it's a lot easier to explain and people just know what that is, but we're actually just a 10 by 10, Sam's tent. Sam's Club tent. We bought it from there, and then we just roll our smoker up, and then we set up some tables and some tablecloths, and then we serve. We've got a pretty good. It's a growing food truck scene here in Lexington. There's a couple trucks that do some really quality stuff, and then there's some just new people. But it's growing all the time. The city is still kind of trying to accept it, but that's a side issue. But we have a good scene here. We do this thing on Fridays every once in a while called Food Truck for a Cause. And basically 10% of your sales, all of the trucks that participate, usually 4 or 5 trucks, they pull all that 10% and they donate a check to a charity every week. And it's really cool. So we get in on it and we get scheduled. This was probably last July. And we incorporated our company in April and didn't really get into doing food truck events until probably June. And we did some really terrible events because we were just taking anything we could get just to get our name out there, because 1 is greater than 0. Like that's a Gary Vaynerchuk thing, man. It's so profound. So we get in this, and this is like our first big event. And I remember thinking the night before, like freaking out, like, man, nobody's going to eat at our truck. Like everybody's going to go up to everybody else, and we're going to be sitting there like fools with no line, and I'm going to waste all this food. And oh my gosh. And you have all these negative thoughts that go through your head. And the best thing to do is to just ignore them and press forward, because if you're having those negative thoughts, you're probably about to accomplish something awesome. And I wish I could tell you like the next day that I set up everything and that it got better, but it didn't. So what happened was we get there the next day. We get there about 10 o'clock. It takes us about half an hour to 45 minutes to get everything set up and squared away. So we show up earliest, like we're the first truck there. And keep in mind, we're a 10 by 10 tent. My brother coined the term barbecue gypsies. We show up, we set up our little shanty town, sell barbecue, and then we break it all down and we're gone before you even knew we were there. So we set up our little barbecue shanty town, and then all of a sudden, these food trucks start rolling in. The first truck there is this Waffly Good truck here in Lexington. They make gourmet waffles, right? Chicken and waffles, pizza waffle, some savory waffles, dessert waffles, etc. And they've got a nice looking tow behind trailer. It's one of those carnival type things where they got 3 windows on all the sides. But it's a better, cleaner looking rig than our barbecue shanty town. And they've probably got $30,000 in this truck or in this trailer. Then the next guy shows up, and they're good friends of ours now, but at the time I didn't know them. They're called the Gastronomes. It's basically like a gastropub on wheels. Every day, the menu pretty much rotates. You definitely got to check them out when you're in town. And they roll up, and they're in this beautiful truck, man. This thing is it's probably over $100,000. It's got a brand new kitchen on the inside. They're French chef, or they're classically trained chefs, and they made an incredible truck. It's got an awesome paint scheme on the outside. So they park, and I'm like, oh shit, like we are in trouble. And I was like, it can't get any worse. Like this has to be done at this point. No. Let me tell you about this truck that rolls in finally. It's called Rolling Oven here in Lexington, and they are a wood-fired pizza truck, and they literally took this massive diesel truck and put a shipping container on the back. And the shipping container has a glass wall where you can see all the people inside running around and cooking. And this thing rolls up, and it's like a super tanker. And we'll make sure to do the links in the show notes for all of these guys' trucks so people can really visualize what we're sitting in the middle of. And it's like old school Roman Colosseum, like all the warriors are circled up around each other. Like I'm sitting there looking across the field at this truck, this rolling pizza oven fortress, and we're sitting here in our tent. And I remember looking at Jennifer and I said, we are going to get smashed today. And so right up until like 2 minutes before we started selling, that doubt was still in our head. Like I remember thinking we should just pack up and go home and tell everybody the food just ended up getting messed up, because in barbecue, you have bad cooks sometimes and you have to shut down.
Exactly.
And I was like, we could get away with that. We can run away and hide and it'll all be okay. And keep in mind,
did you kind of feel like you brought a spork to a gunfight?
Yes. I mean, spork might be overselling the weapon in my hand. I would say cooked pasta noodle.
Oh, God, no.
Maybe uncooked if you're being generous. Maybe uncooked. But, I mean, we're sitting there and we're looking around going, damn, man, we are in trouble. And thank God we pushed through the fear we had. We're fearing financial failure. You're fearing like people coming up and trying your food and absolutely hating it. You're fearing that nobody's going to even show up to try your food. I'm sure you had that thought when you first launched this podcast, like nobody's going to listen to this, but I'm begging you out there to just get up and do it. Like whatever you're afraid of, like if it's barbecue, just try it. To
be honest, one of my neighbors is really big into podcasting, and I asked him, I'm like, what do I need to do? Like, how do I make people like? He's like, dude, just start doing it. He's like, honestly, no one's gonna listen to it.
You gotta love people like that. That's a solid vote of confidence.
And he's like, the first few of them, he's like, no one's gonna listen to it, and then you may get one or two. And I'm like, awesome, I'm gonna go with it. And that's kind of how I went with it. And I was like, no one's going to listen to it, so screw it. I might as well do whatever I want.
Exactly. Well, that's where like really cool things come out of, because you're not afraid to take chances and you end up doing the thing that you want to do. We're building a company that we want to build, that we want to work for, and that we hope other people want to work for one day. And to wrap the story up, man, all of my fears were completely off base. People start coming up and they line up for our food because they smell the smoker back there. And like, we've got a great line. Everybody out there's got a pretty good line, but ours is definitely up there with the big trucks, man. And we've got less than $5,000 in all of our equipment. And, we've got a same line as them, and we're going toe to toe, and we're getting positive reviews. And I just was blown away by how well it was going. I'm like, any minute now, these people are going to figure out we're faking this. Like they're going to figure out that we don't know what the hell we're doing, and that an hour ago we were fighting about how to load the truck. Like, it's. And it's important to note, too, that when we rolled up to unload it, we just had two like small SUVs, like a Jeep Grand Cherokee and like a Chevrolet Equinox, and we just loaded the back with as much gear as we could. Like it was a wonderful redneck mess, and thank God it doesn't happen that way anymore. But I'm trying to be transparent here so people out there don't feel like you have to be perfect to start. And at the end of the day, we ended up meeting all the guys on the different trucks, and I have some really great friendships now. The Gnomes ended up helping us get our food truck schedule booked. And I tell them all the time that they're the reason that, our food truck is booked now until the end of September. And this time last year, we had absolutely nothing on the books, and you're basically looking at week to week just calling places to get set up.
Hey, can we come sell our food?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it is. And you get people calling back or answering like, you want to do what? Like, you got to understand the food truck scene here is not like it is probably in Chicago, or definitely not like DC or New York or LA. But you're trying to educate other business owners about the benefit of having food at their foodless establishments. And
they're like, no.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, I don't want you to set up a barbecue gypsy town. It's a what? I'm not. No. Like, so I had to get better at selling it, but I was out there trying. We were out there trying. But
sometimes that's all you got to do. So I won't keep you for too much longer. I know that you are probably exhausted and you had a long day and you got a long day tomorrow. So we will wrap this up. Now, I like to wrap it up with you guys giving some tips. Now, say somebody wants to do a gypsy town, a barbecue gypsy town, which sounds awesome to me.
Yep.
What's your tips? Do people have to go? Would you say that they should start looking at their local places, like for permits and stuff like that? What would you say is your biggest tips? Like, give me three big tips, and you don't have to go super in detail with them.
Okay. Yeah. Tip number one is, if you're doing this for the first time, if you're just now getting into selling stuff on the side of the road or wherever you're doing it, on kind of like how we do it, pay for everything in cash. Don't go out there and run up a huge credit card bill on a thing that you don't have any idea if it's going to work. If you don't have the $5,000 to invest to start it, like, it's really unwise to leverage yourself, because you're just going to end up angry about it. And you're going to take the wrong jobs, because we're doing this thing on an all cash basis. We take credit cards, but I'm just saying that we don't carry any debt on the business. And
perfect.
You put yourself in a lot better position to succeed, and you minimize your risk. Like, if you're just starting out, do not take on 18% a year credit card debt for a tent. Like, don't do that. Don't do it. So, and tip number two would be, go down to your local health department and just ask them what the rules are for your city on selling food. Each city, each county is going to have a completely different set of rules. Completely different. And you just need to ask them everything you need to be a legal permitted vendor. And they'll give you all of that stuff. They're very, very helpful about that. At least our health department was. And that's something as simple for us as, like I said, a 10 by 10 tent, a couple of 5-foot tables from Sam's, tablecloths, some throwaway chafing dishes, and a square reader, and an iPad that takes money.
That accepts money.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I get people all the time that come up to us and ask, "So you guys cash only?" And like, "Oh, hell no, dude. We definitely take credit cards. Like, it's 2015. You have to take credit cards."
No,
like,
I take any currency you give me.
Yeah, exactly. Everything but Bitcoin. I still don't know about that. I'm being kind of curmudgeon-y about that, man. I'm slow to the table on internet currency. But,
I'm a little bit slow on that too. I'm not sure if I accept it or not yet.
Yeah, and by slow, I mean I'm absolutely like denying that it's going to exist. But anyway, so the third tip I would say is go out there and talk to people that are already doing it. Whether that be listening to a podcast like this, or some of the other shows we've discussed, go out there and buy some $15 books and spend an hour reading them instead of watching the 50,000th episode of Survivor. Like, read a doggone book. And then if you have done both of those things and you want to take it to a new level, like, just straight up walk into somebody's restaurant that's a small local shop and ask for the owner and just start up a conversation with them and see what they have and what kind of tips they have for you. And if you're interested in doing anything we've talked about, you can feel free to reach out to me. Like, I'm very accessible on every social media platform, website, email. So to summarize, do everything debt-free to begin with. Communicate with the government. You don't want the government on your bad side. And then get some mentors to help you expedite the process, because you will avoid wasting money and avoid a lot of costly mistakes for sure.
And guys out there, if you are interested in doing any of that stuff, believe me, it's so funny how quickly a restaurant owner will talk to you.
Yeah. We get bored, man. We're like, we do the same monotonous thing every day. Like we call it widget making, right? We're just in here producing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And even though it's incredible every time, like, it's cool when different stuff happens, like that Ale8 story I shared earlier. Like, we get fired up about that stuff because it's something new and exciting happening in our business.
Exactly. It's guys, especially with barbecue, everyone's so family oriented and so like, oh yeah, come over and talk to me.
Yeah. There's nothing like a barbecue guy will show you his pit in about 2 seconds. His or her pit. I mean, 2 seconds. They will absolutely brag about the wood they use, how long they cook it, their technique. Like, they'll talk about it.
Short of making it in front of you, they'll pretty much tell you everything.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's funny, man. I have tried to get my partners to agree to us releasing all of our cooking techniques, all of our sauces, recipes, and rub recipes, because I don't care if you know how to do exactly everything I've done to this point.
Still going to taste the same?
It's not going to taste the same because you're still going to put your own flair on it. But the bigger point is that I know the amount of effort it takes to make fresh barbecue every day and everything from scratch. And you don't have the team I do, and I highly doubt you have the drive that we have. So I don't know if you're going to be able to stick with it. I mean, it's been a long year, man. It really has. It's been a hard road to hoe, but hard work pays off when you're putting in the time, like we talked about. It's finally starting to pay off for us a little bit more at a time.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Work ethic is a big part of it. It doesn't matter how much you know about me. That does not mean that you can do what I do.
Exactly.
So, well, thank you so much for coming on the show. We had a great time. Now, obviously, we talked a lot about social media, so I'm going to let you do your social media plugs. Tell everyone where they can find you. Obviously, guys, we will put this all in the show notes because if you're driving, I don't want you to pick up your phone and be like, oh, God, I got to go find all this stuff.
Please don't wreck on our behalf.
Yeah. We're not.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Yeah, exactly. Great minds, right?
Exactly. So give me your social medias just so the listeners know, and then we'll close it up from there.
Sure, absolutely. We're actually getting ready to do a Kickstarter campaign to just help raise some more funds, and then we're going to be offering a lot of cool rewards through that. And so to sign up to get on the pre-email list, go to www.lylesbbqcompany.com, and it'll take you right to the opt-in page, and you can just sign up for your email and then stay up to date with our everything going on with our food truck. My email is on that website, and so is Jennifer's email. They're on the contact us page. As far as social media goes, Instagram is really big for me. You can find us at Lyles BBQ CO. And then on Twitter, you can find us at the same thing, Lyles BBQ CO. And then on Facebook, just search Lyles, LYLES Barbecue Company, BBQ Company, and we should pop up. And then I'm very accessible. I have a personal Twitter account. It's Chandler Lyles. It's and then that'll be in the show notes page, I'm sure. So just please contact me. I respond to everything as quickly as I can. I'll answer any questions you guys have. Like, definitely reach out. I think too many times I listen to the different podcasts like this, and people don't take advantage of, the opportunities that are presented to them to learn from people. Like I don't do it enough, and I work on doing it more and more now. When a podcaster comes on and interviews somebody, and that person being interviewed is giving out their information, like definitely reach out to them.
Absolutely. I think that's great. Obviously, guys, if you have any questions for us, you can always email us. We're on Instagram. We're on all that. So Chandler is more than willing to talk to you. I very, very much promise you that. He's one of the nicest guys that I've talked to in a very not saying that anyone else isn't nice, but you're just a great down-to-earth guy, and I really enjoyed this conversation. And I hope everyone else does too.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, man. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity this late at night. I know we kind of had some scheduling snafus. So.
Hey, it happens. That's okay. Life happens, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you for being on. And obviously, guys, check the show notes. Check his restaurant out. It will be opening soon. So if you are in the area, go find his gypsy tent. Hunt him down and be like, I found you.
Absolutely. And and then I tell you what, if you reference this podcast, we'll throw in a free dessert. How about that?
Awesome. That is awesome, guys. So if you reference the MMB Barbecue podcast, you will get a free dessert. I'm coming down.
Do it. I'll tell you about the dessert real quick. It's a Kentucky peach cobbler. Take a Woodford Reserve bourbon and infuse our peaches with it, and then we make a good old fashioned country cobbler with it. And it's just one of the best things you'll ever eat. A little finishing salt with kosher salt, and it's incredible.
So you're open now, right?
Yeah, late night delivery to Chicago.
Perfect. Yeah, if you could just overnight that's perfectly fine.
Absolutely.
Dry ice, just put it on up. But
there you go.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much, obviously, for being on the show, and we'll love to have you back once the once the restaurant's in full swing, and maybe we could talk a little bit about restaurant with you.
I'm sure I'll have more awesome stories to share. So.
I'm sure you will.
It's never boring, that's for sure.
Which is perfect. We love it. So
it's good for podcasts.
Exactly. So once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Well, that was our chat with Chandler from LYLES BBQ. Make sure you check him out. And like I said, if you are anywhere in the Tennessee area, he is worth the drive. Make sure you go on over there and check his restaurant out and all of his awesome products and all of his food. Make sure you do say Man Me BBQ sent you. They'll hook you up with a free dessert. I think that's what it was. It was a long podcast. We chatted for a long time, so sorry if my mind blanked out, but I believe that's what we agreed with Mr. Chandler. And once again, this barbecue podcast was brought to you by BBQ Rubs and Seasonings. Make sure if you want a little bit of island time in your life or a little bit of Calypso in your life, a little bit of Calypso kick, make sure you pick up a 3-pack. Don't skimp out. Don't be cheap. Go buy the 3-pack. You will not regret it. I promise. Use the promo code MMB, and it'll make your world a whole lot better. Bring some island time to your life. So, once again, guys, I'm Mikey K with Man Meat Barbecue, manmeatbarbecue.com. If you want to be on the show, if you want to chat with us, if you hate us, send us an email. It's manmeatsbbq@gmail.com. That's MANMEATSBBQ@gmail.com. Tell us what you want to hear about. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Tell us what we're doing right. We love to hear from you guys. So, also hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. We're on all of them. See you guys next time.